My fiancé flew back from Dallas last night. Well, this morning. I was supposed to pick him up at 10 p.m., but it was delayed, so I waited. I spent a few hours lying in bed, periodically checking the flight information on my phone. The flight eventually got going again, and I cursed myself for agreeing to pick him up, since I was now going to have to do it at 2 a.m. I set an alarm to get me up at 1:30, since I figured I may as well get as much sleep as I could. I must have shut it down and drifted off again, though, because I woke up to him calling me from the airport at 2:15. I apologized profusely and rushed over. He was waiting out front for me when I got there. It was cold and dark, and I thought about saying maybe he should have waited inside, but I figured I was in hot water already. He sure seemed mad. Or, well, something. Maybe tired, maybe angry, but he certainly wasn't normal. He got in the car, slamming the door hard but keeping a neutral expression. We got back home and turned in. I turned on my phone to set a second alarm to help get me up in the morning, since one obviously hadn't been enough the first time. I saw something wrong on the flight information website, but shrugged it off, set the alarm, and went to sleep. The body next to me felt oddly cold. It was, I imagine, like sleeping with a corpse. I checked a few times to make sure he was there. Sure enough, he was, but something was definitely wrong. He still seemed upset or something with me in the morning. We ate breakfast in silence as he glared at me. I apologized again, and he said it was fine. His face stayed expressionless as he did. I started to worry about him just a little more. Then, on the ride to work, I heard news on the radio about the disappearance of a plane. I suppose you all have mostly heard the story, too. The flight in from Dallas that stopped responding mere miles from the airport. So close that anything that happened to it should have been noticed. The area was swept, and there was no wreckage or plane of any sort to be found. It had to have made a U-turn just as it approached. But even that doesn't quite add up, since after it stopped responding, feelers were sent out. And even with relatively incredible speed, nothing was seen in all the area that the plane should theoretically have been. Well, like I said, you probably already know the story. If you've tuned into the news today. But, with incredible disbelief and a massive tug dread, I realized that the flight number matched the one I had stayed up so late watching. I immediately pulled over and got out my phone, just to verify, and, sure enough, it was the same. I texted my fiancé and asked if he had been put on a different flight, last minute. It wouldn't have made sense, to be put on a plane with the same destination, at the same time, at the last minute for some reason. Still, I figured it had to be that. His response stinged, reading just no. My mind immediately started to race, and I knew one thing for sure. I know I can't go back home tonight. Thinking about how he was this morning, I'm worried about the man with that cold stare. What he is, and what he's capable of. I don't think it still is the man I know as my fiancé. He seems wrong. Skewed, and I can tell he's capable of violence. I'm certain I'll be in danger if I go back. I'm going to try to flee. Skip the country, don't look back, whatever. Something. But, I'm worried I can't get away. I think whatever it is that's responsible for the disappearance of that flight is expecting me home for dinner, and I don't think it's going to let me cancel on it so easily. This